Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sheldon at the McRae home. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. So today I thought that I would talk to you about how I managed to clear £75,000 worth of debt and set myself up for success and now be in a position to buy my dream home. So I'm not a financial advisor by any stretch of the imagination, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the things that I did, and hopefully that can help one or two of you guys. Just wanted to talk to you about some of the hints and tips that I've picked up along the way. I've spent countless hours listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, all that stuff. I've read books, and I'm just in a position where I've set myself up and put myself in a really good position, and I just thought I'll share some of that. I didn't want this video to come across like I was gloating or anything like that. I just wanted to come along because it's so tough out there at the minute that if I can help one or two people and give them a tip or two on some of the stuff that you can control yourself, because there's a lot of things that are not in our control, interest rates, all this good stuff, and it's stressing people out. And I think that the biggest stress factor in most people's lives comes to money. It comes to debt, it comes to money, it comes to stress. People lose sleep over it. And I was one of those people. I've not been great with money. I've been really silly with money sometimes. I had credit cards coming out my ears, cars on finance. Everything that you can imagine that I could buy now and pay later, I was doing at one point or another. So I know the feeling of it and it doesn't feel great. So I thought, let me come along and just share with you what I did. So I hope this can help someone. The first tip that I can give anyone, and the thing that I did, was I took my head out of the sand. I was paying on these credit cards. I had 5 credit cards and I was just going into a shop and I was paying on them all. I didn't know how much I owed on them. I didn't know anything, and the first thing that I had to do was write it all down. I got a spreadsheet. It doesn't feel nice at the time, but I promise you, in the long run, it will feel good because you know where you're at. So those sleepless nights don't become so sleepless no more because you know you've got a plan in place. And that was, for me, the biggest thing that I took away from getting into this space. It was just knowing exactly what's going out when. Now you've got a list of everything that you owe, you can start weighing up your income versus your outgoings. So depending on how much you've got coming in to how much you've got going out, you can now be clear on, right, what parts can I tackle first? Where are the bits that I can cut some things back on? Where are the things that I can save money? I'm going to do a whole video on how I save money, my next video next week. So if that's something that you like, just hit the subscribe button ready for next week, and that's all going to be about the things that I've shaved down. So things like phone bill, all that good stuff. I can give you lots of tips on the things that I've done in that space. Really important that you know what you're spending your money on, and I didn't have a clue where my money was going. What I did first was I have my main bank that I was getting paid into, and I was using that card, and my money was all over the place. I didn't know what was going on. So I kept my main bank, and then I set up a Chase account, which actually gives you 1% cash back, which is just great. Every little helps. So I set up a Chase bank account, and what I did is I set a standing order up from my main account into this Chase account. Now I started at £50 a week. Now that was to set me up for everything: food, fun, clothes, travel, everything. That was setting me up. That was putting me in that was me to try and get by on that. And I found that over a couple of weeks it wasn't quite enough, so I had to tweak it a little bit, and so I tweaked it up to £70, and then my agreement was that once I got out of debt, I was then going to up it to £100, so I've got a little bit more flexibility. But anything that I want to buy needs to come out of that money. So if you've got a different lifestyle, if you've got kids, if you've got a family, like if you need to put more in there, just budget for it so that you know that when you get paid, £100 coming out every week, £150, whatever it will be. But I would say that once you set that budget, try and stick to it for a period of time. So stick to it for 4 weeks and then review it and say, actually, I could reduce that, or I need to make it a little bit more because of X, Y, and Z. But bear in mind, it's for the budget for you to have all that other money to pay off your debt. So once you've set your budget and you're getting paid into this other account in my head didn't exist. As in, I was never going to spend on it. I didn't even take the card out. That account was for bills. That account was for debt. This account was for me spending whatever I wanted. So if I wanted to buy a top, I could go and buy a top. It was guilt-free because the money was budgeted for. And it wasn't a huge budget, but I could save up if I wanted to buy myself stuff. And that worked a treat for me because I found actually I knew what I was living off then, because that was the balance that I checked every day, whereas I was checking the balance in this account over here every day, but I was like, oh, that bill needs to come out, that needs to come out, I need to go and buy shop. It was just too messy for me. So the biggest tip that I would say that really set me up for success was having the separate accounts. A bill account, a spending account. So there's two ways that you can clear debt. You can have the avalanche method, which that is, you look at all your outgoings. So if you've got 5 credit cards, for example, you look at the one with the highest interest rate and you start tackling that first. Now, mathematically, that one makes the most amount of sense because you're going for the thing that's costing you the most amount of money. You're throwing every single piece of spare money to it, and then that will then reduce, and then once that's paid, you then move on to the next one, and just making sure that you're still paying all your minimum payments on everything else. The next thing that you've got is the snowball method. This is where if you've got 5 credit cards, one's got £100, one's got 2, one's got 3, one's got 4, you start with the lowest one. Now, this mathematically doesn't make the same amount of sense as the avalanche method. However, this one, if you're in a space, it starts feeling better because you clear the bottom one. It keeps you going once you start seeing that your £100 credit card, so all that money that you were paying towards your minimum payment on that, you've got that free now, so you can then throw that towards the next one, and then you can throw it towards the next one. I chose to go towards the avalanche method because I was really determined and I was really focused. You would just decide what one you think works best for you, but I would definitely say that just seeing if you need just that little bit of boost and motivation, maybe the snowball method is going to be better for you, because that's going to keep you going, seeing those, because the cards will clear a lot quicker, as opposed to this one. It might take you a little bit longer to get rid of the top one. So if you're super motivated, then that one. If you just need that boost all the time, then go for that. But do a little bit of research on those. But yeah, it's just whatever one works best for you. So I then that was on my credit card, so I know what I had to put towards that. I know how much money I had towards it now, because I've got my budget, so every single month, and I was tackling it, and I wrote it down so I knew what date I was going to become debt free on my credit cards. Alongside that, I had other things. I had my car. So my car, I got the dream car. I loved it. It was my favourite thing. I've done a video on it previously. That was me talking about how much I love this car. But did I need to have that dream car? No, I did not. Did I need to have a car that cost that amount of money? No, I did not. And I was being ruthless. I was tackling this debt head on. So I live in Manchester city centre. I sold the car. I went on WeBuyAnyCar.com. They told me how much they would give me for it, and it was pretty much what I owed left on the finance on the car. So I just cleared it. I said, take the car, off you go, and I'll walk away with nothing. I had put a deposit and stuff into it, but in my head, I was hanging on to it, and I was paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds out every single month on this car that I shouldn't have been doing. So the car went. Now I've got this pot of money that I can help throw on top of all this, which really helped set me up for success. So that then threw me, and what I was finding is as time was going on, I was in such a great position because it was making me feel better, because I was seeing more and more money come into my pot. And like I said, in my next video, I'll talk to you about all the ways that I save money in terms of my mobile, of getting rid of the car, all that sort of stuff that I did that freed up some cash that I could then throw towards my debt and savings later down the line. So the next thing that I wanted to tackle was my living expenses, as in where I was living, and was there anything that I could do there. And luckily I was in a position at the time where I was living with one of my friends. We moved in together, and so that saves money, but I was living in a luxurious apartment. When I moved to Manchester, I was like, I want to live in a high rise, I want to have views over Manchester. That's what I want. And that's what I went and got. And again, not being great with money, that was the position that I had set myself up for. But I got a great opportunity that I could get out of there 12 months later. So, and I was thinking, what can I do? Do I need to live here? And do I need to be paying this amount of money? And I did some research, I was looking around. The main important thing for me was to feel safe, because living in a city centre, there's loads of people, loads going on, and I just thought the main thing, I want to feel safe. So I wrote down my non-negotiables, and I wrote down some of the things that were just nice to haves. And the non-negotiables, my list was this big, and the nice to have, my list was a bit bigger. And we went and viewed some different apartments, and I found a great apartment, which is the apartment that I live in now, and I love it. I love this apartment actually more than I love the other one, and we managed to move, and that was incredible. And I've saved myself, between my car and my share of what we were paying towards the apartment, I've saved over £1,000 a month just on those. Now that is then money that I can then start throwing towards everything else, because I've moved to somewhere smaller or different. It's not as luxurious. I've got rid of my car, so now I'm going on trains to work. I'm going on trains to see family, and that's fine for me at the minute, because that's what I need to do to set myself up for success. And I knew that this was just a short-term thing in terms of not having a car, so I literally just threw all that money at the debt. And in my debt, I had things. I had Apple products, so I had a desktop. I had things like mobile phone on contracts, which cost an absolute arm and leg. I had everything, all sorts, in my apartment. So we then saved money on council tax. We went down a band, which was amazing. Our gas and electric went down. I know that there's a lot going on in that space, but it went down overall in terms of the actual usage, so that really helped. So with me paying off one thing at a time, throwing all this money at the debt, my debt cleared. I had a goal that by the end of 2021, I wanted to be 100% debt free. I didn't want to owe one person a penny, and I managed to achieve that. I managed to achieve that just by throwing everything that I had to this debt. And what I then carried on doing after it, because I'm in a great position, all my outgoings have now reduced to bare minimum, and I've got this all this spare money now that I can then start throwing towards savings, because my dream was to go and buy a renovation property, smash it to bits and do it up, which is coming. So fingers crossed, keep your fingers crossed for me. But what I did is I just carried on with all that money and put it there. I bought myself a car, which was great. I bought it cash. I did not want to go into any debt, which got me around, and it's fine. And I'm in a position now where I just carried on that savings throughout the year, and I've then set myself up for my deposit to buy a house, and I'm just in the middle of buying the house. And the thing that I did is I really wanted to enjoy the journey. I really submerged myself in Dave Ramsey, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. There's lots of podcasts that I listened to. There was lots of stuff that I was just really submerging myself in everything. Everything that I did while I was on the train going to work, I would have a finance podcast. Then if I come home at night before I went to bed, I would spend 20 minutes or half an hour listening, putting on YouTube and watching a video around finance. And it was just me. Every single day I was waking up, and I was just getting myself in a really good position to keep going, because it is tough when you're doing one thing and it feels like all your friends are over doing other things, going out, eating out a lot, doing all the stuff that you want to be doing, and you're not doing it as much. But it is worth it, because that bit is the tough bit. It's the tough bit to say no to going out. It's the tough bit to say, actually, I can't do this. But it is all worth it when you've got to that end goal. And set yourself a goal as well. So like I did, I said by the end of 2021, that's when I want it to be. I need to be in that position. I worked out all my finances. I worked out if I did X, Y, and Z, that is achievable for me, but it's going to be hard. And I went for it. I would say give yourself, it might be that you give yourself a couple of years. The part that I would say is have patience with it as well, because I know me particularly, I'm like, I want to be debt free and I want it to happen tomorrow. That's not realistic. If you want to do it, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to keep at it. You're going to have to make sure that you're not going out and spending lots of money on other things that you want to be doing. But when you get that and you achieve that, the feeling that it will give you will be like no other. So I hope that's helped at least one person. I know that it is really difficult out there at the minute. I just wanted to share some of the things or the process that I followed to get me to here. I am going to do another video for next week that is going to be about what are the individual things. So what did I have on certain things? How did I cut that down? How did I save some money on things? Because if I did it in this video would be way too long and you guys would be like, absolutely not, you're boring the hell out of me, off I go. So I thought I'll do it in 2 different stages. So please If this helped you, or you took one little thing away from it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Please come along for my journey. Like I said, this is all about interiors, but I thought it was really important for me to come on and talk about some of this stuff, because I would have really found this beneficial when I was trying to start out. So fingers crossed that it can help one of you guys. I will speak to you in my next video. Speak to you soon. Love you, bye.